Are you on Gussy Duck?
I'm on Gussy
Oh,
Duck.
there you are.
Guss it up! There's Susan and JB. Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Got my tea in, my favorite mason jar. This is my favorite one. Don't ask me why this one is my favorite one. It just is. It's shaped a little differently. It sort of has a more vintage look to me. And I have a boba straw.
A maximum tea intake.
Maximum tea intake. Here we go. Haven't quite gotten in the practice of drinking my hot tea yet this season. I love the fall and winter. It's the time really that I often thrive.
That's when you come alive.
Yeah, I don't do well in the summer months. I get too hot, and I believe my ancestors were mostly from the northern climes, so I like it cold. I'm in for a treat, aren't I, as global warming continues? But
climate change.
What?
Climate change. It's not good.
Climate change, right? It's climate change, the changing climate that we are experiencing. And where was I going with that? I don't remember.
Tea.
Oh, I have not yet really committed to my hot tea season yet, which it's weird because I usually do much earlier than this. I usually start in September, and I've just noticed Grymm will ask me if I want some tea, and and he means hot tea, and I most often am saying no, and it doesn't make sense to me. This is not me. But anywho, welcome to 420-ish Tarot. I'm Gussy. I am wanting to tell all of you that have been sending energy my way and Grymm's way. Thank you, and Mists as well. All three of us have had some weird COVID, not COVID illness since like 3.5 weeks ago now. Kind of hit me the hardest. And, you can still see my eyes. My eyes are so watery, and it's not pink eye, no. Don't worry about that. It's just all chapped around my eyes because they're just watering and such sinus problems. So don't let me scare you. I was looking for some sunglasses, but I couldn't find my cool sunglasses that I love that Wendy sent me. But so you got to deal with my weird looking zombie eyes. So there you have it.
Apocalypse ready.
Apocalypse ready. That's right. So let you guys all kind of gather in. I'm going to say hello to some folks. And to remind you that even though I have been under the weather and I've appreciated the energy that some of you have been sending to me, particularly JB, I do believe that zap worked. I do believe that it did. I'm not perfect yet, but I have felt better over the last 2 days, slowly but surely. I feel like I'm kind of coming back. So thank you to those of you that have been sending energy. I know I really have been under the weather since about August. And it's hard, to be a healer and say, heal, and then I'm like dying over here. So it seems kind of like weird, but I know that physical health and mental, emotional, and spiritual health are all tied together. So even though my body has been fighting whatever this virus is, I also know on a spiritual level I'm cleansing. And so even though my eyes are watering and chapped, I feel like in some ways they're tears that I haven't necessarily cried in this lifetime. I feel like I've been doing a lot of clearing of energies over the last couple of weeks that have deep ties to my ancestry. And
Do you feel like it, or do you know it because you've been pursuing it?
I know it because I've been pursuing it. But when I say I feel like I feel the connection, like that's what I'm working on. I always take the opportunity when I'm ill. It's an opportunity to go within. You're tired anyways, and you're not, you're sleeping a lot, but you're resting more, and it's a perfect time to look inward and find out what else is going on in there. Not just the virus that your physical body has, but what are the conditions of the other parts of you, the etheric parts that are not able to be seen. They exist all the time with you at all times. It's not like they come and go. There's always that connection that you have to the divine. It never ceases. And it's just how much energy and thought and focus you give it. That's the difference throughout the day. So anyways,
but there does come a point where it becomes almost second nature. It's not like it's a continual effort that you're having to, oh, that's a magic, I got to recognize it. There does come a point through that process that it just becomes part of your norm. Right.
Like I think back on when I was a younger woman, and the houses that I've purchased and loved throughout my lifetime, I always had my altar space. But really, not until this last decade have I really focused on building my the spiritual part of me is as built into my physical life as it can be. Grymm and I have altars throughout our living space. We are constantly talking about magic as the day starts and finishes. We're always talking about something. We're constantly seeking personal growth and growth not only for ourselves, but on behalf of our community, because I know that we're all together in this. That's what our topic for this month is anyways, is community. And when we gather and have these conversations, I know that, I need to go through the process myself and understand it as best I can before I can begin to explain it to someone and help guide them through it. So here we are, right? #withstanding. Anyway, I want to say hi to some people, and then I would like to get on our topic for the day, which is keeping the keys, which is a very interesting conversation to have, and Grymm's going to involve himself in this one. But let me say hi to some folks first. Oh, yes, I need a tissue. Goodness. All right.
Before you say hi to people, I want to point out that every time you or I use the word withstanding,
yes,
inevitably somebody in the chat will hashtag that.
Awesome.
I love it.
I know. I'm going to make a t-shirt that says #withstanding.
I like it.
You want one? All right. Hi, Susan. I already said hi to you, but hello, lovely. I'm hoping that that your friend is feeling better. I know that you had some concerns last evening, so praying for that to happen. Hey, JB, as I said, thank you for the energy you've been sending me. I feel little spurts here and there. Once we make that connection, it's a lot easier to kind of share it back and forth. But I have felt it, and I thank you for that. Christy Reed, hello. And Alicia says hello until the Theraflu kicks in. Oh boy, don't I know it. I mean, I'm kind of on the other end of that spectrum right now, I hope. But it's been a long month of and so many people are sick with whatever this is right now. So keep yourself as healthy as you can. Hello, Shelley Brown. Hello, Deb Kirkland. Hello, Norma. Hello, T. Hello, Grymm. Hi, Victoria Williams. And, Alicia says, I have a code too. Mm-hmm. That's funny. Hello, LJ, and thanks for tagging some folks. I see you tagged Verla and Naomi. I hope they can make it. Hi, Jerry. Oh, Jerry, I've been thinking about you the last few days quite a bit. Brandon is here. He says, meowsy. Good to have you all here. Angela Turley is here, and Tammy Shepherd. Hello! Some of my favorite names popping up in that list. So good to have all of you with us today. I'm still a bit under the weather, but I am coming back strong. I can feel it. I can feel that little fire. You know, it kind of gets sort of low when you're feeling sick. It kind of goes down to a tiny little flicker, but I am feeling that fire rebuilding and feeling myself coming back again. So it's been a long haul, and I know some of you have had illness yourself, or other people in your family have been ill. So before we get started, I just want to send some healing energies out in your direction and in the direction of those people around you that need it most. We work with this purple wave energy all the time. It's energy that we've started collecting together, many of us, since 2015. And all you really need to do is close your eyes and just call it into you. It is a warm, healing, beautiful, iridescent, purplish color. Sometimes the light in it is so vivid that it looks white, almost translucent. It's quite lovely. And it's healing energy. As we create this space together, we unwind the unnecessary negative energies that have accumulated around us and through us and about us and from us. We let it all go. We let it all go right now in this moment, because if it's negative, it's useless to us at the moment. Unless it's here to serve a purpose, it needs to move along so that we can replace it with new and vibrant energy that still has a story to unfold, right? Breathe that healing energy in and allow yourself to imagine it now spreading from your fingertips, from the top of your head, wherever you feel the energy moving through you. Allow it to transcend your physical space and move out into the world that touches other people around you. Our energies run right up one against each other. I define who you are and you define who I am, and together we can make some lovely healing magic happen. That's the whole withstanding thing. Grymm's over there shaking his head, yes. I call upon our Divine Mother, Father, God, Goddess connection. I call upon our past lives, spirit guides, concurrent lives, past and present, future. I call, beloved dead, those ancestors that stand behind us. Some call them guardian angels. I call all of those. I call animal, crystal, and plant allies to this space that are here for our greatest and highest good, to help guide us toward the next best step that we're all taking. May the words that Grymm and I share in this space and in this time be the words that need to be heard, and may they be heard clearly and with understanding. I know they're going to resonate with someone.
Hello and welcome.
I guess we called some ancestors in. Hello and welcome. I also want to honor several of the goddess energies that we've been working with most recently. Yamanya, as we talked about last week, the goddess Rhiannon, who has been coming forward over and over through several of my readings lately, and also to the ever-present Hecate, who guides a lot of where Grymm and I find ourselves when it comes to standing in the gray zone as gray witches, learning sorry about that, everybody. Learning about what it means to find that balance, whether it's between sacred masculine and sacred feminine, or, you know, just where do you draw the line in your sand where do you cross those boundaries, and how you define them. So I call all of these energies to us here now in this space, that together we can understand ourselves a little bit better. And so it is. You know, the title for today, Keeping the Key, is kind of cool when you consider the goddess Hecate to speak of. One of the symbols that she carries is a set of keys. She has keys to the underworld. She is a crossroad keeper. She is equated with other gods and goddesses throughout, and demigods and demigoddesses throughout different cultures. But she stands at the crossroads ready to use that key to open the gate to allow you through or not through. Keys play a really important role in both the Purple Door community and Covened Up, and even more specifically between Grymm and I. Keys have been a constant symbol in our relationship. And so today's conversation about keeping the key, I'm going to turn it over to him so I can sneeze in private. But I'd like you to please share your thoughts below, and you know, chime in when you have a comment about what Grymm is about to discuss, because it's pertinent to all of us. It's pertinent to all of us. I'll see you in a bit. I'm going to flip you all around. Here's Grimmer.
You probably have to do some adjusting too.
Oh yeah, you're way down there. Oh, you can see the phone stand in my way. Oh, it's focusing on the phone stand, Grymm. There, wait, there we go. That'll work.
There we go.
That'll work.
You got it?
Yes.
That was a beautiful bringing in of the powers and the energies to help enhance what we're going to talk about a little bit for today.
Thank you,
Gussy. So thank you for that. That's twice today now that I've had an opportunity to feel magic wrap around me. As I was outside today raking up the leaves and picking up the detritus of a garden 20 years unattended, cutting back the brambles and raking away the leaves and exposing the ground for the first time in I don't know how many generations, because it's a mess back there. I had opportunity to reflect on a writing that I had done today. And the reason this writing was inspired is because Gussy and I have this philosophy. Once you're in our life, in whatever capacity, you're always part of us. There's a reason your energies were brought into our existence, into our understanding, into who, you know, our proximity. Nothing random ever happens. There's no such thing as coincidence. Your energy was brought to our attention for whatever reason. The universe said you two need to connect. And that's how it works in all of our relationships. Everything from your greatest and deepest love to your worst enemy, to the person that's cashing your groceries through at the store. Every interaction that you have is with a past life experience. Somebody in your soul circle, your soul circle of influence. Each lifetime, as we move through these different experiences, each of those souls takes on a different role. And we interact in different ways, but the deeper that connection, the tighter that bond, the closer the two of you are to the energies of those past lives, the more vibrant, the more beautiful, the more magical, and the more extreme on all levels that relationship becomes. For some, it becomes a relationship of great highs with little lows, and some it's great highs with great lows, and some don't get the highs at all. The relationship started off rocky, but for whatever reason, you're drawn together, you keep beating each other up. We find ourselves in situations where we have to draw lines in the sand. It's
the washing machine is about to go.
I can feel it in the floor.
If you hear thumping, it's just the washing machine.
We find ourselves having to draw lines in the sand, saying, please don't cross this line. In doing so, you're violating something sacred to me, something that I want and desire, something that is important to me, whatever that line is. And inevitably, those more toxic people in our lives that we're trying to play out this scenario with, some will toe the line, kick some sand on it, obscure it a little, blur it. Others will just completely step over it and not give a damn about your line in the sand. And now we're left with two choices when that line is crossed. We can draw a new line, reestablish the boundary, and say, don't do it again, please. Giving them opportunity to honor that line that you have drawn in the sand. And for a lot of us, once we realize that this is a hard line drawn fast and true, we don't cross it. Intentionally, sometimes maybe we'll step over it, but for the most part, we honor each other's line in the sand. But all of us have had somebody in our life that looked at the line and laughed. Continue to push the buttons, continue to slap you around, continue to do those things that force you to keep drawing your line in the sand. Well, unfortunately, the more often we draw these lines in the sand, the further we back up and draw a new line. Oh, they crossed over, back up, draw a new line. We're going to find ourselves with a void behind us. We're stepping into a darkness, one line at a time. It's important to know when it's time to close the door. Those in your life that continually cross those boundaries and abuse your sacred self don't deserve to be in your immediate sphere of influence. It's time to close the door. And with that said, I'm going to talk about that through reading what I wrote today. Some of you have already read it and commented on it. Some with understanding and saying, yes, that makes sense. And others saying, no, that doesn't make any sense at all. If I'm hurt, I'm closing the door, I'm locking it, and I'm throwing away the key. When you find it is time to close a door on a relationship, do so with confidence and a commitment to remove yourself from the toxicity. Closing the door can be difficult, though. Many times it is somebody we are close to that we are closing that door on. Remember this the next time you are faced with the painful decision to step away. This might make it a little easier. Avoid locking the door and throwing away the key. In your disappointment or anger, many of us slam the door shut, flip the lock, and bury the key deep in our shadow boxes. When we do this, we prevent two things from happening. We tend to ignore our contributions to the toxic traits of our relationship. And we lose the opportunity for that door to be reopened should the parties involved choose to evolve. Don't throw away the key. By keeping that faint thread of energy alive, the connection between the two of you, though faint, is still a vibration of what that relationship could have been, lacking the toxic traits. As you heal your shadows and tame your inner demons, the energy of your healing is shared with the other. If the door is locked and the key is lost, you are denying yourself the opportunity to see if the other has evolved as well. We will never hear the knock on the other side coming from a friend who misses you and has learned how to better deal or how to be a better version of themselves. That knock may never come. They may never grow, and their shadows will forever be the guiding force in their life. As long as you still have the key, you are still in control. Your soul will know if you are looking Your soul will know if who you are looking at through the peephole is worth unlocking the door for. That makes sense?
It makes beautiful sense to me. I mean,
it's a hard lesson for me. I have spent the greatest majority of my life closing doors and tossing away the key. Once you cross that line, be it the first time or the 10th time, I decide to close the door. It's for good. It's forever. It is now. And that energy is severed and lost, and I could give a damn where you went after that. Through the years and through watching how Gussy chooses to approach relationships and seeing how it has affected her life, I have learned that by throwing away the key, I am denying myself the opportunity to heal fully and completely from the damage done by that toxic relationship. Because by throwing away the key, it's a stamp of anger, it's a stamp of absolute disappointment and of giving up. You have surrendered your self-will to another. That's what I spent most of my growing up and maturing life doing. And as I look back at the chain of people that I've closed the door on and tossed away the key, occasionally I will see a glimmer of who they are now in a random Facebook post or through something somebody else tells me about their evolution. But because I locked that door and threw away the key, I severed the ability to allow each other, him and I, to reach out to one another and say, hey, where do we stand now? I'd rather, moving forward in my life, keep the key, and occasionally, if the door is knocked on, open it, let them through. I'm in control. I have grown. I have healed. I now know how to keep my line in the sand solid and secure and understand why that line may be crossed. And if it's out of shittiness, I have the key. I can open that door back up and throw them out, giving them another opportunity to see what they could have had in a friendship, in a relationship, in an association with me, in the hopes that one day they'll knock again and step through that door healed, with demons tamed and shadows revealed. That's all I got to say about that.
That was great. Nice ending. Well, I love what you were saying. It all resonates with me. You know, there's a lot. I even saw someone mention it here in the comments below, and I'm not saying this isn't a good resource, but as witches, we so often resort right to cord cutting. Do a cord cutting. Hell, even the metaphysical community that don't resonate as witches, they just think of themselves as do-gooders out there, light workers. They do cord cuttings, and it's so damaging because if you do a cord cutting right, it's irretrievable.
It's throwing away the key.
It's throwing away the key. That is why I often I use something called the red string spell that I do with people that I love. But I keep a thread of energy between us just in case, because I know that I'm growing and changing all the time. And I would hope that the person that I had this evolution with will also grow and change. I can only hope that they take the opportunity, because I know that some of the relationships that I've moved on from, I know it causes them pain as well. So,
and I think that's the part that most of us don't realize, or a perspective that we don't see, is though we may be the one that closes the door, there's still a twinge of hurt from the other side of that door. I know that those doors I closed, for whatever reason, people were hurt by it.
Mm-hmm.
They miss it too, so you're right.
Christy says, I just removed myself from the current situation. I always leave the door open, just slightly guarded. And JB says, that's the part that stopped me, is the person is extremely close and I want to see them healed too. So I think boundaries is more like what I need.
Mm-hmm.
Sometime, Tammy Gibson says, sometime you have to learn to trust and respect. And that sometimes takes time, and it sometimes means that the pillars that are holding your relationship together have to fall down and crumble first.
Yeah.
Because you can't keep building a universe on broken foundation. You've got to get it shored up. And sometimes you do have to go to your corner and lick your wounds and think things through and feel hurt and feel angry and feel frustration, but then allow yourself to grow. Allow yourself to grow.
By throwing away the key, we're essentially telling ourselves we don't need to heal from this 100%. And as Gussy was telling me earlier today when we were talking about this, if I close that door, slam it shut tight, and throw away the key, and sever that vibration through cord cutting in this life, if we believe truly and honestly in our deepest heart of hearts that we have lived before and we will live again, and the people that we become attached to in this life are the people that we were attached to in a past life, it stands to reason we're going to be attached to them moving forward in future existences.
Story may play out differently.
Story may play out differently. You're playing different roles in the same play. And whatever frictions between us here, we will carry over into the next existence, and that play will be played out in pretty much the same way. Sure, the addresses and the names and the exact scenarios will be different, but the emotional pain and traumas associated with that experience will
play out.
Will play out again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Might be a little less. It's not always as intense.
It's true. That is
and
true.
Sometimes it's more.
Yeah.
Because it's like the universe says, hey, you haven't learned it the first 500 lifetimes. Let's try the 501st lifetime.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get it this time around. And I'm not being critical of anyone, and neither is Grymm.
No.
Tiffany says, I'm already guarded, and it's too easy to be to close the door.
Mm-hmm.
More shadow work, she says.
Yeah.
Patrick Adrian, who, by the way, Patrick, hello, nice to see you. I think that's a new name out there.
Yeah.
Says, allow yourself to be released.
Mm-hmm.
And Tammy says, fair few people have I ever completely closed the door on. Same here, Tammy, very few. And Alicia says, I like to learn about history, not repeat it.
Yes.
Deb Kirkland says, I've actually had enough with being abused from two certain individuals and my family. Got to stay away. I did all my shadow work and I'm setting good. You know, I am going to call you out on that one, Deb. I'll turn the phone around here. Let me get my camera turned around here. I'm calling you out on that because no one is finished with their shadow work. Not you either. Maybe around that topic with those people. And you're right. There's times, like Grymm is saying, you got to walk away. Walk away. Get out of that.
That's part of doing shadow work.
That's part of doing shadow work. Absolutely. Get away from them. Don't involve yourself with them if they're still broken and not willing to deal with their own stuff. But don't keep the door so closed that you limit the growth on both sides.
Part of growing.
She says yes, just on that topic with those people.
Part of our growth comes from understanding that when we close that door on the relationship, it's for our own good too. Right. But if it's for our own good, to maximize that goodness, that means we have to analyze our own shadows, our own contributions to that situation, to the scenarios that played out leading up to the closing of the door.
Right. Yes, yes, yes. And a lot of people don't want to do that. Well, and it's not like you're hard-headed and resisting shadow work. Sometimes it takes you a minute to realize you're up against a shadow. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you don't know that there's a box sitting on that shelf that you need to take down and shake up a little bit, lift the lid off, and take a peek inside. Sometimes you don't see that shadow box in the dark of the upper corner of the closet because you don't know it's there yet. But once it becomes revealed to you, you certainly need to take the steps you can to ensure that you understand why it happened. And by the way, when Grymm and I talk about forgiveness, we're not talking forgiveness in the context of the biblical sense, as in, we're not a turn the other cheek kind of person. We're not really. No. We don't advocate for that. We don't say, just roll over and play dead in situations. We know that sometimes we need to remove ourselves from toxic situations.
You defend yourself with enough force and tenacity to remove yourself from the situation. Now, when two people are starting to go down that road of toxicity, it's no longer two people that are walking in that friendship. It is two people letting their shadows dictate the direction of that relationship.
Oh, yeah.
It is two shadows beating each other up. It's a WWE wrestling match between those shadows, and the victor is not the one who pins the other. And
I'm going to flip this around for you.
In that scenario, when those shadows are duking it out in the ring, in the octagon, in the squared circle, in whatever combat zone you want to put it in, the victor is not the one that subdues the other into submission. The victor is not the one that gets the 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 count means that the person that you pinned has given up, has surrendered, has been depleted of all energy in the regards of defending themselves against the onslaught of those shadows beating each other up. The true victor is the one that can step out of the ring and say, hey, wait a minute, neither of us are going to win in this scenario. I'm done playing the game. And you walk out of the arena. And you don't do it with anger. You do it with enough force as necessary to get that door closed. And if that means fighting back, then fuck yeah, fight back. Because there are going to be people in your life that will keep pushing on that door trying to burst it open. And we can't, as Gussy was saying, just lay down and submit to it.
Let's see. Some comments out here, Grymm.
Okay.
Brandon says, my door is locked. It's dark outside and I don't want people coming to my house. Patrick Adrian says, put wind in your sails and soar. Hi, Aphod. Glad to have you. I know you're a little bit late. That's okay. We've been having a riveting conversation about toxic relationships and keeping the key, letting the door stay a little bit open just in case people can heal and move on into a better perspective of relationship. Let's see. Tiffany says, sometimes shadow work is such a labyrinth that you pull out too much.
Yeah.
Gotta trust that.
But
you gotta trust the divine timing.
You do, and it's never too much if you have people withstanding with you.
Right.
When Gussy and I started working with people in their shadow work, we called it under the tent sessions. And people would come to us and they'd sit under the tent around the big table and we'd have our discussions, slowly unpacking the shadow boxes. But there always came a point in that unpacking that it was like a jack in the box. And it just would explode with shadows coming out of whomever it is that we were talking with. If they didn't have a support group around them, a network of people willing to withstand with them and get down in the muck with them,
they just crumbled again.
They just crumbled again.
Alicia says, sometimes I wish I could have heard this a year ago, but I wouldn't have listened or understood it. The message clarifies when it's the right time to hear.
It's hard to hear it when you're in it.
Let's see. This is Tammy Shepard. I have learned over the years to observe and try to have a conversation about the situation. I can have a wicked tongue if I allow myself to get that far. And in the end, the only one who hurts the most is myself. Yep, Grymm and I have a saying that we've been sharing for a while now. Nothing good ever comes from an angry tongue.
There was a time in my history, I used to be an employer. My job for other employers was to hire people and train them and mold them into the corporate image. And I took that job to heart. I knew the goals of the corporation through and through, and it was my job to ensure that the people I hired embraced those goals and advanced the desires and the dreams of that corporation. And if they failed me, they felt it. If it came down to a point that it was time to part ways and it was necessary to be fired, I did it with as much spite and vitriol and anger as I could muster in that moment. My goal, to make the person I was firing cry.
I think you've shared that before.
Yeah.
Why? That one still crops up a lot when you're...
Because to me, it's an example of what happens when we let our shadows dictate our motions and our emotions.
Right.
We don't often, as individuals, give ourselves permission to sit down and look at how we handle the situation truly with a dispassionate heart in that moment of reflection. When we're reflecting on something that we have done, we have to do it detached of the self-loathing that we might feel for doing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I know a lot of us, when we're in a relationship with someone and it starts to fail, whether it's romantic or sibling or friendship or whatnot, a lot of us assume blame. We assume the blame. We've taken that on.
But if we sit on the couch in self-reflection, a bit harken back to the days when I used to fire people with as much vitriol as I could, I would sit on the couch and reflect on it and go, yeah, I probably took it too far. I didn't need to go that way, but God damn it, they deserved it. And pretty soon I'm working myself back into that.
You're whipping yourself into a frenzy.
I'm whipping self-justifying my need to inflict my pain on the other person in that moment, and I would not grow. And every relationship that I had moving forward would carry a string of that, a tendril of that dark energy with me. Move into a new scenario, a new set of people, there was still that underlying core of this that I would bring into every new relationship, because I always justified my infliction of pain onto others. Emotional pain. It wasn't until I learned to come to grips with, okay, I need to close the door, but I don't have to do it with so much fucking anger and hurt and disdain in my heart, that I carry it with me for the next relationship that I open a door for. I can't grow. I can't allow myself to see things from a higher perspective and understand that the person I just fired is going through just as much hell as I am. Emotionally. Give ourselves, all of ourselves, a chance to move on from those toxic relationships, but leave an opening so you can see that other person's growth potentially in time. And when you see another person's growth, when they knock on that door, you look at the peephole and you go, oh shit, them again, but okay, we'll give it a shot. If they have grown, And if they have become something better than they were, the relationship that you two will create from that point forward is stronger, more dynamic, and more magical than it ever was before.
You need to be clear, though, Grymm. When you look through the peephole and you look out the door and you see who's out there, you don't have to open the door.
No, because
if you're not ready
if you're not ready to take on the potential fight that comes from opening up that door, keep it locked. If they have truly grown, if they have become something better, they'll understand why you didn't open it, and they'll wait for your knock.
Exactly. Couple of comments here. Deb Kirkland said, yes, I agree. My older sister's just being mean. I thought it was me for my whole life. I was the one that thought I was doing something wrong. I just realized it's her problem, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we all share a bit of complicity in those situations, but
and the longer we allow ourselves to stay in that toxicity, the more culpabilities we create in that situation.
Yeah, right.
Because now we're not leading into that relationship with an open heart, open mind, open soul, and everything's good. We're constantly going in like this.
Right. Oops, I just skipped around. Alicia says, it's so hard to well-wish people that have hurt us. May they have everything they want in life. Far, far away from me was a default well-wish for me for a long time. I do. I like that one. I do like that one. Absolutely.
There are some people that, though my door is open, should they truly need it, I don't have any real intentions of answering their knock.
But if you should peep out that peephole one day and feel it in your heart to open that door, open it cautiously, find out what they're looking for.
Before you open the door, though,
and it might just change your life.
Before you do, check your toolbox. Make sure that you've armed yourself with a new set of tools to move forward with.
Right. We've got a couple new people here. I want to also mention Jane. I think Jane's been with us before, but hello, Jane Husky. Nice to have you back. And Lindsay Ann says, couldn't agree more. They will understand if you're not ready when they are, if they've genuinely evolved.
Mm-hmm.
Norma says, I have been guilty of staying because my shadow was martyr and victim, then had to apologize and remove myself. Yes. I felt like wishing them well was my own revenge. This is Tiffany. I felt like wishing them well was my own revenge because it meant that I had taken the higher path. Yeah, but sometimes we wish people well, but we don't necessarily actually mean it. We say it because...
That's the right thing to say.
It's the right thing to say, but...
It's the Christian thing to say.
Oops, did I... I didn't mean to make that sound. I'm so sorry. All right,
that was funny.
Okay, I'm commandeering the...
You know, I don't do it now as I'm evolving, as I'm redefining my boundaries and what I want in a give and take friendship, relationship, marriage, whatever that is. I just lost it.
I cannot help you.
I know.
Give and take relationships, marriage, friendships, whatever.
Oh, I've come to realize that the abuses that I inflicted on, I'm going to just use you as an example because it's no secret that I used to be kind of mean. And I would say things that weren't nice. But because you would move your line in the sand each time, it trained me. It gave me permission to continue on in that behavior. I had no reason to change. That's
kind of what Norma's referring to when she says she found herself in the victim martyr.
Yeah.
Because I found myself in that position too. When Grymm and I first got together, we knew we were twin flames like almost immediately. And it was just this adrenaline rush like neither one of us had ever had before. It's like lifetimes of information kind of came, billowing in, and we were both just, we couldn't look back after meeting one another. There wasn't...
Come hell or high water.
Yeah, it was just like we were pulled together so strongly. But that didn't mean that back in our 30s when we met that we didn't meet without shadow. We were both still fighting our way. We still are, of course. We still, butt heads once in a while. But I was like what Deb was saying. I assigned everything to myself. Everything that went wrong, it was my fault. I internalized all of that, and it took me a number of decades to get past feeling like I need to absorb all the guilt, because it isn't all my fault. It's not all Deb's fault. It's not all Norma's fault. And by absorbing all the guilt, I didn't allow Grymm to grow either, because I was the one assuming all the wrongdoing. And
I think there's a part of me that recognized that one day when you and I were having a particularly aggressive verbal altercation. And at the height of that argument, I don't remember what we were arguing about, but I distinctly remember with great amount of in my voice, will you fucking defend yourself? When you're right, and you need to shut me up.
You're making the dog upset there,
What a
Grymm.
girl. You remember that one?
I do.
I think there was a part of me that knew I'm being trained and not allowing growth here, and I'm beating her up over it. I don't know.
Being trained?
I think I recognized that you kept giving me permission to do this behavior. And I was more than willing to, okay, I'll take that permission. I'll do it. And in that moment, I realized I'm forever going to be in the quagmire. She's forever going to be in the quagmire until we figure this shit out.
Yeah, well, it came to both of us, I think. We reached a point in our relationship where we decided we're either going to begin to understand one another, or we're going to walk away. And that's not uncommon in a twin flame relationship. You kind of burn yourselves out. Mm-hmm. Too much fire is not a good thing, right? Too hot a flame. Too bright. And too many issues for us to get through. But we did. And like I said, we still sometimes find ourselves in this argumentative state over this or that. But what we've both learned, or at least I'll say it from my side, what I've learned is when I recognize that I'm doing it, I suddenly feel like, okay, young Gussy, young 20-something Gussy, who doesn't understand why she's so hurt and why she is the victim and the martyr and why she, does the things she does. That's the person that starts to argue with Grymm. That younger version of me that was simply defending herself because she thought this is what you needed to do. And Grymm had his own shadows that he was struggling with about anger and control, and we both had to release that and allow ourselves to have conversations. You guys have heard us talk about looking at it from a higher perspective. That's what we're talking about. Sometimes we'll stop in the dead middle of an argument and both of us say, wait. This is not getting anywhere. We've got to take a break.
Not to put a biblical spin to it, but, the whole snake in the garden and all of that really can be interpreted as our expulsion from the garden is when we decided to start inflicting our pains on each other. The snake perspective, down low in the dirt and the muck and the mud, that's what we listened to, versus the dove flying high. I know.
I love snakes.
I do too.
They're healing.
To me, snakes are not that evil portrait that they've been painted with, but from a biblical sense, using the snake as that evil part, that in this particular conversation, from a Christian witch point of view, the snake just represents the shadows that we succumb to. And if we succumb to those shadows, there's no way our garden will grow. There's no way that we can create a paradise or live within a paradise if we're allowing our shadows to lead the way down that path.
Makes me think of a nursery rhyme.
Does it?
Yeah. Mary, Mary, quite contrary. How does your garden grow? How does your garden grow, contrary Mary? How do you make something grow in the darkness like that? I want to read some more of these comments, and I know we've been going for a minute here, Grimmer. Let's see who we have here. Let's see. You gotta scroll back here. Goodness, my phone keeps jumping. Lindsay Ann says, couldn't agree more. They will understand. Oh, I already read that one. Tiffany says, okay, I already read that one. JB says, mine is a parent and I want a relationship, but I'm seeing they may not be able anytime soon because it's decades of conditioning that I didn't see. Patrick Adrian says, a person can wish someone well too, but it's up to that person to put their energies into getting well. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I do end up wishing people well in the end. Where did you go? I just lost it. And send happier hopes and thoughts to them too. Absolutely. Same here. Aphod says, as I told you before, I found a lot of peace by sending love and peace to one of my old enemies, a spell I worked on over 1.5 years. I found that now I have peace and joy where there was so much strife. Lindsay Ann says, sometimes the martyr role feels like the only option, but you're so right, Gussy. It doesn't help either of you. Patrick says, you lots are awesome. Fuck. Gussie said a bad word. Only awesome. Get this far as you both have and inspire others to go far too. Thank you. I appreciate that.
One of the underlying definitions of the word success that I have held hard and true in my life, though not always applied in the most spiritual manner, was success isn't how far I've gotten. Success is how far we've gotten. That has been an underlying core value of mine in my work life, my personal life, mm-hmm. Not always perfectly executed.
Yeah, right, same.
But it falls on that, back on that, wishing people their best possible outcomes. Because I'm not successful unless my community's successful, and if there's somebody in my community dragged down and bogged down in their own crap, it's my responsibility to pull the weeds away, to let the light in so that lotus flower can bloom. Because only in that way am I successful completely.
What if you don't have the strength to pull that away?
Then I sit down next to it and wait for somebody to come along that also has some strength. And then between the two of us, we can pull the weeds away, because no one person on a spiritual quest is worth casting aside. There are actions in this world that are abhorrent.
There you go.
Abhorrent.
Were you going to say deplorable?
And should never be condoned. Never. But there are no actions in this world that can be taken that aren't taken for a reason. And if it's a negative action, it was done because of shadows. Because of the hurts, the maladies, and the pains. And can we help that person grow? Can we pull the weeds away if we continue to assault them with our own shadows and our own hurts and our own traumas? No, we cannot. Neither of us can grow in that scenario. So if I can't be of a help to the situation, I need to remove myself from the situation.
Did you hear that? If you can't be of help, you gotta remove yourself from the situation.
She full of love.
Yeah, she wants loving. Yep. This is a great conversation. A lot of people are making comments here. Aphod says, this relationship of twin flames with you guys is so perfect timing, and thank you. Lindsay Ann says, it can be so helpful to separate your child from your present future. It's one of the only things that can override those thoughts of mine sometimes. Absolutely. Same here. Sabrina Massey says, Mary does magic. Let's see. There's the people are noticing Kelly. Patrick's going to the grocery store. Good luck out there. Put on your spiritual condom, as I have said for many, many years now. Put on that protection as you go out and about amongst the masses, because Goddess only knows right now that we have to keep our energy close to us, and those that we have to choose who we share it with, right? That's also part of closing that door when you need to, but keeping the key available if you choose to unlock it and walk back through. 3 cards jumped out as I was shuffling, and I'm wondering, Grymm, do you want to read one of them? Or 2 of them? Or all 3 of them? I'll just hand all 3 of them to you, and you can choose. I'm going to flip it around. So these are cards for the group. We're going to read all 3 of them somehow, either Grymm or me, or we'll figure it out.
Wow, these are amazing cards in relationship to the topic.
What are they? I didn't even really look.
You didn't look at them?
Not really.
Is the camera on me?
Yes.
I'm going to start. Do you mind if I do all 3?
Go for it.
All of them are right side up. Ace of Wands, shown as a sword. The Ace of Wands in this scenario means that you have mastered the art of knowing that the door needs closed, but not necessarily mastering the art of closing it. To hold the Ace of Swords, that wand in your hand, that talisman of power, that connection between you and the divine, means that you're harnessing the power to fortify yourself with the strength that you need to hold and close that door. But we must do it with temperance. We can't slam the door shut over every slight infraction. People make mistakes. People accidentally step over your lines. If we just slam the door on every slight infraction, pretty soon you're standing in a room alone with closed doors surrounding you. Temperance, knowing when to close the door and when to open it, if ever. When we accomplish holding ourselves to that higher power with the Ace of Swords, holding that wand up high, connecting ourselves with the divine, that divine that isn't any one singularity up there in the sky in heaven for us to tap into. It is the all, it is the everything, it is the universe. The universe is infinite, and if it's infinite, that means it contains infinite possibilities. This is your connection to the possibility that you want to see take place. When we master temperance along with that, we will receive the world. The world was created for us to explore. Not the world just that we stand on, but the world that we imagine. The world that we want to create. The world that you want to pass down to the next generation. The world that we are passing around to the next generation right now is a bleak one. Because too many of us aren't tapping into that divine source, allowing that to guide our way. We're not living a life of spiritual temperance. We're fluctuating from one extreme to the other. I'm not saying individually, I'm saying as a collective whole. And the world that we're passing down to our children, to the next generation, those that will call us ancestors, is murky. But the positive side of that is Gussy and I are seeing the world over groups of people coming together and saying, I don't have the strength to hold my sword up high to that connection to the divine, but I want to. And people are gathering around, pockets of communities, gatherings of people, connections are being made, and withstanding is happening, and more people are finding their connection to the divine. Though weak and feeble at this time, the more of us that are stepping into that is strengthening that connection. And slowly we're learning to understand that the world we hand to our children is our responsibility. And we're taking responsibility for our own personal actions. And we're deciding from moment to moment, are we going to take the high road or the low road? And more of us are choosing the high road. We honor you for that. The divine honors you for that, and what that means is you honor yourself for that. That's what I got out of those 3 cards.
Thank you, Grymm. That was a great read. Yep. Thank you. I love that. You want to do all the outro stuff?
Mother, Father, Goddess, all the entities, energies, vibrations, and frequencies that are available to us to tap into, I ask that you reveal yourselves as positive, neutral, flowing energy that we can tap into, flow through us, and then project outwards. Give us the understanding that we are not batteries meant to hold energy. We are conduits meant to allowing energy to flow and move. Through that divine connection, we understand that if we release the shadows, we allow ourselves to step on a higher path. That frequency of energy that flows through us and out to those around us is pure and clean of those negative toxic traits that afflict us all.
I'm going to invite them to do some things too.
Tonight at 9 p.m. your time, we invite you to pause for peace, a moment to sit down and reflect upon your day. In that moment of reflection, allow the energies that no longer serve your greatest and highest good to be unwound and cast out back to the universe to be recycled, renewed, regenerized. Allow those energies to wrap around you, heal you. Collectively, each one of us sitting down at 9 p.m. means that we're each taking an active participation in changing the frequency of the world, and I honor you for that. Thank you. Go ahead. I'm running out of things to say.
No, the e-zine.
Oh, the e-zine. We are almost done editing. Gussy is almost done editing this month's issue of the e-zine. It's a few days late, but it's going to be in the inboxes of everybody that's subscribed in the next day or two. We fully encourage you, if you have not subscribed to the e-zine, it's only $4.20 a month. It's a chock full of information delivered to your email once a month. Articles written by witches that are not super experienced and filled with all kinds of degrees and whatnot, but everyday witches. Those that are learning their path alongside you, and they're sharing their thoughts and lessons with you. Go to our website, openthepurpledoor.com/e-zine, or just open the purple door and click the e-zine link.
You can also get readings there if you want to book a reading.
Gussy and I are both available for readings. If you need some further guidance, we're more than happy to help you there. Just click on the bookings button. If you'd rather a little something different, we're also offering Astrology by Copper Marie. She's more than happy to help you figure out the next best step for you based on what the stars have to say. OpenThePurpleDoor.com.
Last but not least, on the 28th of this month, we are hosting the Purple Door Witch Wave, right, at 9 p.m.
Yeah, I don't have all the details
9
in my
p.m.
head, but it's the 28th of every month.
I'm putting him on the hot seat.
You are. This is usually your job. The 28th of every month, Gussy and I gather our energies together to create what we call a witch wave, but we can't do it alone. It requires your involvement. At 9 p.m., gather with us. We'll put the event announcement out here shortly, but it's when we have an opportunity to mingle all of our energies together and cast it forward in a wave in whatever given direction feels right in the time.
Spirit guides.
Spirit guides the moment. A wave of peaceful energy and healing purple light around the world for everybody to feel.
That was great, Grymm. You did great. Ta-da! All right, that's it, everybody. Thank you for spending some time with Grymm and I and sharing your thoughts. It's been wonderful. If you have a specific topic that you would like us to cover, feel free to jot them down in the comments down there, because we usually always have something to talk about, but we'd also like to talk about what you'd like us to talk about. So feel free, or if you're not comfortable doing that, send us a message. We can't promise when we'll get to it, but we'll try. And don't forget, tomorrow's Thursday, which is not a 420 Tarot day, but Friday is, and hopefully we're all going to be feeling a little bit better, sharing this lovely energy. All right, y'all. Stay magical.
Stay magical.